And when the Saints come marching in. La da 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 da.
All right, welcome to Hollywood Impact. All right, today we are going to be reviewing the Joker sequel movie, Folie, Deux. Or Folie Deuce, yeah, as I think is more appropriate. Let's go ahead. Let's be a little nice to start. Zach, and we'll have the first part of this be spoiler free, and then we will relatively quickly transition to the spoiler filled review. So, yes. Zach, why don't you go ahead and tell me what you thought was good about the movie?
Okay. This movie, especially early on, I think most of the good visuals come from like the first half. Yeah, there's a couple shots where whenever he's in jail and there's the background of the apartment and the colors change and you see his face change.
Yes.
Really cool. And there's one of these songs, the visuals, whenever they escape.
Yes.
Not really escape. They weren't even trying to escape. But the escape scene.
Right.
That was pretty cool visuals with the rain and the fire.
Right.
And especially when they zoomed out and you see all of Arkham. I don't know if it's technically Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
But, you get the vibe of that.
Right.
That was pretty cool.
It was.
And, yeah. Visuals are good.
I agree. Yeah, visuals were pretty good. That specific scene that you're referring to, probably my favorite scene visually speaking of the whole movie. And then the acting as well. So both Joaquin Pheonix and Lady Gaga, I didn't really have any expectations going in for her performance or anything, but she did a fine job.
Yeah, I agree.
As well as one character that we'll get into a little later in the latter half of the movie. Yeah. Fantastic acting and probably the best scene throughout the movie. So acting-wise, visually, I agree. Those were both really good parts of the movie.
And even a lot of the side characters and the background characters had good acting.
Yep.
All the guards I liked.
I agree. Yeah, the guards did a really good job.
I liked the lawyers. I liked the other prison mates. I don't think there was a single section where it was bad acting.
Yeah, no, I didn't. There were not any performances that took me out of the movie.
Right. Yeah, what they were given. Is what's bad.
Right. So. Well, that's it, really, for the good parts. Unfortunately,
there's one more good thing we'll get into later.
So let's go ahead and, again, without spoilers, just talk about what we didn't like about the film. And this list is a bit more extensive. So
it's flat.
Yes.
The story is not really a story.
Yeah.
It's a rehash of the first one, but less.
I thought...
And not as good.
To me, I know it was directed by the same guy, correct?
Even the same writer.
But it did not feel like it.
No.
It felt like they brought in a random guy who hadn't done any projects in the past and who watched like a 10-minute YouTube summary of the first Joker movie, saw that Lady Gaga was in it, and thought, okay, let's add a bajillion musical numbers into it.
Literally a bajillion.
Yeah, and then let's try and hit some of the same thematic notes as the first one, and then that was the story. Yeah. Story pretty flat. I also thought I touched on it a little bit, but the musical numbers, there were too many. I thought the first one or two were kind of cool, especially when a couple of main characters meet each other, and these kind of signify those story beats.
Right.
But after about the third song, they started getting boring, and none of them were ever cut short. They always did the entirety of the song every time, and they weren't adding anything new. So the songs, in my opinion, got pretty boring pretty quick.
Yeah, and it was a lot of musicals. They have two characters going back and forth. There wasn't a lot of that. It's like they'd be mid-conversation and one of them would just start singing.
Right.
And then the other one would cut in on a different conversation and start singing. Yeah. And very rarely did the songs actually mean anything with what they were even talking about.
Because when I think of musicals, in this case, that's what a lot of people are calling this, is a weird Joker musical. And when I think of musicals, I usually think about information being conveyed in the form of song and not just a movie with musical numbers in it. Because a lot of times, with the choreography and like the dancing, they'll have stuff going on in the background, or like they'll have a set change like mid-musical to indicate that the characters are going somewhere. This, that, and the other. Yeah, just like what you're saying. It's like mid-conversation, they'll bust out into song, and then they'll go right back to the conversation afterwards, or they'll resume the scene. So they didn't feel like they added anything.
It happened a lot.
It did, yeah, yeah.
And it happened more throughout the movie. It started off, there wasn't many songs in the first like 35 minutes. I thought, okay, I don't know why people don't like this because it's a musical, but then, it starts turning up the notch.
Right. I'll also say that the feeling of it, like I said, it felt like the writer just kind of wanted to touch on, like, get close to some of the same thematic notes that the first movie did.
Yeah.
But it just didn't feel like they had any soul to the movie. It just felt like I was eating a cardboard sandwich the whole time, basically. There was a lot of unnecessary filler, and they didn't try anything new, really, again, except for like one scene in particular.
Except like the musical is what's new.
Yeah, the music is what's new, and it's not a good new, it's a bad new.
So it does not add to the movie.
It does not help, but okay, well, do you have anything else you want to say before we get into spoiler territory?
Other than just it's boring, I don't think there's much I can say without spoiling.
I think if you don't want spoilers, our general consensus before we get into the actual specifics is it's not worth the money, unfortunately.
Definitely don't go see it in theater. And even when it's on streaming, like, it's the last...
Probably not worth your time.
Yeah, it should be the last one you watch.
Yeah.
And when I think of who likes this movie, I think you cannot have seen the first one.
Yeah,
because you can put together what happens in the first one with just this movie.
Exactly,
because that's all they talk about.
Yeah, it's just the events of what happened in the first movie.
And if The Sound of Music is your favorite movie, and you like dark thematic, stuff.
If that's like all you watch, then sure, I guess add it to your list of stuff to watch eventually. But add it down low because
it's not it, folks.
No. Okay, well now. Fair warning, we are going to get into spoiler specifics, though I don't think that'll be a problem for most people, because I doubt anybody's going to go see it.
Just watch this video instead.
Yeah, this will be plenty.
Yeah, it's free and much less than 2.5 hours.
Yes. So why don't you start us off? What was again, we'll go good and bad.
Okay.
So tell us, what was your favorite part about the story, the movie specifics?
Easily is in the court scene whenever Arthur decides to represent himself, and it's the one scene where you really feel like he's being the Joker.
Yes,
he's in full makeup.
Yes,
and he's actually acting like the
Joker. He's got his suit. He's strutting around. Yeah.
And it's Harvey Dent's last witness.
Yes.
He calls Gary Puddles to the stand. And at first I was like, who the heck is Mr. Puddles?
Yeah, I didn't recognize him at first either.
But then whenever you see him walking, I'm thinking, I don't remember a short person in the first movie. But then when I saw his face, I'm like, oh, that's like his boss who he worked with.
Right.
And very powerful scene.
It was.
They start questioning Puddles, like, did this seem like a different man whenever he killed? Because one of the guys he killed was a guy he worked with. Yeah. And Puddles witnessed it.
Yeah.
And, Harvey Dent's like really interrogating him. Like he's trying to push him.
Yeah.
And it works on him because he was really affected by what Arthur did. Yeah. And whenever Arthur starts talking to him, he gets like real emotional. And Puddles is like crying. And he's like, at one point he says, you were the only guy that didn't make fun of me at work. Yeah. And he's like, do you know how it feels to feel like so alone? Right. And that's like, because Arthur was grilling him a little. Yeah. Just to try to,
that was like the main thing that I took away. Because he was like, he made so much fun of his name. And when the judge was like, don't make this a circus. And he's like, it's a bit late for that, don't you think? Or whatever. And I was like, wow, he is like eating into this guy. Yeah. That's like crazy.
And then he like, whenever he says, do you know what that feels like? Yeah. Arthur really backs off, and you can see in his eyes like he's kind of emotional. Yeah. And he stops questioning him.
Yeah. So absolutely, again, that was something that we mentioned before, was the acting. Yeah. And this was by far like the best performance of the whole movie was from this Gary Puddles character.
Yeah. It's the only time I felt anything in the movie, other than like bored and mad.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. This also kind of something that I think everybody really enjoyed about the first movie was its exploration and its diving into this like transition into madness, into craziness, and that just wasn't explored at all in this movie, which was part of the reason that the story sucked, is because like they're not doing anything new, with the exception of this scene where now you've got the Joker who's almost sort of becoming, in a sense, like the people that made him what he is. He's like making fun of Puddles and, you know, calling him a circus or whatever. And then if Puddles kind of flips it on him, and like you say, you can see that emotion. So this was the only like new exploratory territory throughout the entire movie. But I thought that the Harley Quinn side of things, it didn't go anywhere, and that's the case for most of the movie. Is that it just didn't go anywhere. But Harley Quinn specifically, and I saw another YouTuber review this and said that generally in the comics, it's been Harley Quinn has like an infatuation with the Joker, which she has in this movie, but sort of like the power position is flipped. Usually in the comics and in the cartoons and stuff like that, Harley Quinn is the Joker's sort of like toy. He's the one pulling the strings and manipulating her, and she's his underling. And it's not that way in this movie. It's very much she's manipulating him and wants him to become the Joker and all that. And I don't personally care all that much about it. Personally, I don't mind the new twist on the character. You know, they're trying something, I guess, with her that's different. But when you add that together with all the rest of the movie, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because they've also got the sex scene. I'm not going to go into that.
It's weird. It didn't add much.
But
other than like to make you think, is she actually pregnant?
Right. And then she reveals like that she's pregnant, and then she like breaks up with him. And then that's it for their relationship, and that's it with Harley Quinn. She walks away, and then he gets arrested again. And it's like, what was the point of having Harley Quinn in there if he's just going to revert back to Arthur anyways? It would be like, it makes sense if Harley Quinn is like the catalyst that pushes him completely over the edge. Arthur is lost completely and forever. But no, it's like, she pushes him to be the Joker a little bit, but then he kind of like breaks down and then goes back to her, and she's like, no, screw you, and that was it. It's like, why is she even there? Because I thought it was working, like, the way she was manipulating him. And like, I was like, okay, I see where this is going. She doesn't love Arthur, she loves the Joker. And he eventually does go back to the Joker. And it's like, it feels like where we left off from the first one, but like an hour and a half in the movie. And because he right off the bat, you know, he's on meds, and he's just Arthur. And he's being hammered into him by his lawyer, like, hey, our defense is your split personality. And once he finally gets back to Joker, thanks to Harley, he has that interaction with Puddles, which I do like. It's very good. But it also, that's what makes him go back to Arthur, and Harley's out. So like, why have her in the movie? Songs. It just kind of, because Lady Gaga wanted to be in the movie. Which, hey, heck of a job singing. She did do that. She could sing. Like you said, good acting. It's just the parts they were given is just like the story behind it. I kind of feel that's kind of how I feel like with Adam Driver's situation. Like, I kind of compare him to Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga in this case. It's like, he's a really good actor, and he can play whatever part you give him really well. It's just some of the stories that he's been put in are just garbage, you know? So I'm not ever going to like not go see a movie because Joaquin Phoenix or Lady Gaga is in it from this point on. But anyways, so Zach, why don't you tell us about the very ending of the movie? Tell us your thoughts about that.
Not great. So the very end, Arthur is full on Arthur.
He's just completely lost. The Joker is no more.
Oh, guess we need to mention this. Whenever the jury is giving their verdict, a bomb goes off outside of the courtroom, and there's no action in this movie other than like a couple, like he's daydreaming, you know, shooting people and beating the judge with a gavel, and there's like the guards that beat him up one time. I guess that was something. And like, there's no hint of someone trying to get him to escape, and no, like the people in the city aren't in an uproar. Sure, they're present at the court, that's like any broadcast, court. So
and there was they said something while they were like, well, the fake Jokers were picking him up and they said something about like, yeah, we blew it all up just like you said or something. And it took me a second to remember that he actually said that line, because there's no
and that's
build
after
up.
the fact.
Yeah, it's after the fact. And there's like in the first movie, you've got all this build up. You see like there's multiple scenes where you see the riots and you see the picket fence signs, and all this, that, and the other, and you can feel the tension in the city rising. And it just feels like they didn't do that at all. Like they have like a couple of scenes with protesters, and they have like there's one scene with a police officer with a riot shield like walking into a line of other officers, but that's it. You don't see them like pushing back on pedestrians. I guess there's the one scene in the courtroom where the Joker's laughing and the one guy's like, you quit effing laughing or whatever. And they have that little spat, but that's about it. And it's like there's no, it did not feel like it connected the two very well at all.
And so like he does escape. He just walks out of the courtroom. Yeah. Random Joker fans pick him up. And he eventually hops out of the car when they're stuck in traffic, and he just runs off.
Right.
He runs to his apartment. He's going up the stairs, the famous, iconic stairs.
Right.
And Harley's sitting there. She's cut her hair, She doesn't look happy. It's to signify that, like, she's moved on.
Right.
And sure enough, he's, like, hey, I made it out. We can go build that mountain. And she's like, no.
Yeah, you're not the Joker
you're not
anymore.
The Joker. Right. That's not who I fell in love with.
Right.
And then he just gets arrested. And it goes straight to, he's in jail. They're watching something on TV, and a guard comes and says, you have a visitor.
Yeah.
And the guard is quite a ways ahead of him, and there's a random inmate that we see like twice.
Yeah.
That's really,
again, very minimal build-up with this character.
He's just crazy. That's his character trait.
Insert generic psychopath.
Yeah. He's like, can I tell you a joke?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, sure, if it's short. And then he tells this joke, and it's not short at all. At the very end, he's like, and the psychotic clown deserved it. And he pulls out his shiv.
You get what you effing deserve. Stab.
Pulls out a shiv and stabs him like 6-7 times in the gut.
Right.
And then Joker goes to imagining things, and he dies. And while he's dying, in the background, and it's blurred.
Yeah.
The dude is like groaning and laughing, and he cuts. It's assumed that he's cutting his lips just like Heath Ledger did.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know if that's a nod, is there something in the future? Because it's not the same actor as the Joker in the Batman.
Yeah.
And I don't see, this movie is not like related.
Right.
So it's like, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
Because this is a bad movie, so like it's not like honoring Heath Ledger.
Yeah, and it felt like if they wanted to make that a point, they probably should have made it a bit clear that that's what the psycho was doing. Because first of all, like I said, there's no build up to this random psycho. There's like 2 3-second clips where we see him like in the back of the room or something like that. And then, like you said, at the end where he's sitting there and you see the knife up to his mouth. I didn't even know that he was cutting his mouth thing. I honestly, my first thought was, oh, he's a random psycho. He's like licking the blood off of the shiv, and that was it. I didn't even make the connection, because again, there's like no build up, and it's blurred, and it's in the background, and it's zooming in on Joaquin's face. So it's like, what is this guy? And
just the fact he just dies for nothing.
Yeah,
like he's not Joker anymore. He just dies.
Yeah,
and like you don't get the sense that the crowd of his fans got any stronger, or like there's more love for him. You know, like we ended with that.
Yeah,
and just I had a feeling that he might die, but just I would have thought it would have been like at a more powerful position.
Yeah,
like he fully bought into the crazy. And just something wild happens.
Right.
Harley kills him, because she's jealous or whatever.
Or Harvey Dent or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like Harvey Dent goes crazy, and now he's Two-Face.
Yeah.
Which
that was a cool nod. I will say that is something else that I did enjoy. It was very minor, but like the little post-explosion scene where it shows him sitting there, he's got half. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
but
but that's just gonna do nothing.
Yeah. So
this whole movie is just do nothing.
It felt just like a very soulless, not well thought out cash grab.
Yep. Well, Todd, you made a great movie the first go around. It somehow made $1 billion.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. I don't keep up to date with like a bunch of directors, but I guess he was also the one that did like Hangover 2, and that one wasn't very well acclaimed either. So I guess this guy just might be bad at sequels.
He should be a solo guy only.
Yeah, and it would have been. I think I would have enjoyed the first movie, because it wasn't like the first movie did not set up a sequel.
No.
It was like nobody, like there was no cliffhanger. Yeah. It just felt like it was going to be like a one-off solo movie that would have been great, and then they have this second one that does nothing anyways, like a vestigial organ, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah, this is your kidney.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
But, yeah, so not good.
Not good. Oh, one more thing. Just, if you're kind of on the crazy side and you really enjoyed the darkness of the first one, this is like cut in half.
Yeah,
and I don't really know why.
There's like,
they didn't buy in.
No, there's like the weird sex scene and the stabbing.
Yeah, and like thoughts of killing yourself.
And that's like it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, which, like I said, that's like the first movie did a really good job at like exploring and delving into that darkness, that madness, and this second one was just like, nah, let's just be like a really weird surface level sort of like crazy person movie. Yeah. So, anyways, I think I'm ready to give it a score.
Yep.
If you are.
I am.
Okay. I am going to give this movie a 4. The cinematography and the acting was really good, but it was absolutely not enough for me to stay engaged in the movie, like, at all. I was like squirming in my chair about halfway through the movie, I think, just like ready for it to be done. So not worth your money, and even if it's free on a streaming service, probably not even worth your time.
Yeah.
So it's only getting a 4 because of the good acting and the visuals.
Yeah, and that one scene.
Yeah, and that one scene. Yeah, so anyways, what's your score?
We are in agreement.
4 as well?
I also think this is a 4.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not a terrible movie. I think the biggest word is disappointing.
Very disappointing.
If this was in a vacuum, like you hadn't seen the first one, you just think this was a weird, dark-ish movie.
Right. Maybe a little thought-provoking.
Right. And then, but knowing that this is a sequel and it's just literally rehashing the first one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessary. Nothing happens. Flat story.
Way too long.
It's way too long.
Yeah.
It's really just disappointing.
Yeah.
So that really weighs it down. Yeah. I think it's a 4, and it's only a 4 because of a few good scenes, and cinematography is excellent, and the acting is excellent.
Yep. I agree. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and we will catch you all next time.
Bye-bye.